going to change gears quite a bit here from Deathwing and start looking at the other in-game cinematics that we've been doing for Cataclysm. But before we get right into the meat and potatoes of it, I'm going to give you a little bit of a backstory on WoW in-game. WoW in-game was started by 19-year veteran Joey Ray Hall as a goal or an effort to bring more story to the game trailers he'd been producing for Blizzard for 19 years since he's been working here. This man actually modeled and animated most of the introduction to Warcraft 1. So, let's hear it for Joey Ray. So he had been making these trailers for WoW ever since it was first announced, and he really felt like it needed more story. And so to achieve that end, he actually started bringing in some community machinimators to work with him on these stories as they were coming out. He started with the Naxxramas trailer and with the Black Temple trailer, and with each one of these, even though we were up against some pretty strict limitations, the ambition just kept getting larger and larger, all the way up till Fall of the Lich King, and then finally, you know, Bolvar taking the throne. We arrive now at Cataclysm. So, as Mark had mentioned, unfortunately, the Goblins and the Worgans did not make it into the pre-render cinematic. And for all that was worth, we were very, very, very happy when the game team came to us and said, we have 2 movies for you to make. One for the Goblins and one for the Worgans to bridge between the level 1 through 5 experience and the level 6 through 10 experience. And some of you who have been playing the beta, you may have already seen the Goblin cutscene. Who's seen the Goblin cutscene? Anyone? All right. So who here would like to see the Worgen cutscene for the first time? All right, it's my pleasure to present to you the world premiere of the Worgen cutscene in Cataclysm.
Look at what you've become. Those cursed beasts. They've left you nothing more than just another wretched mongrel. Do you even remember what you did to your friends? Your kind, haunting the wilds unchecked, until we found you. They've kept you alive because they still believe you can be saved. To which I must ask, is there even a shred of humanity left within you? Perhaps we will find out soon enough.
Thank you. So, the World of Warcraft team had set us up with 2 incredibly wonderful opportunities to plug into their gameplay experience. So their story was all set and well and good to go. What we really felt the responsibility to do was make sure that each of these movies reflected kind of the whole kit of both the Goblin and the Worgen, which, let's face it, are very, very different kits. So when we looked at the Goblin cutscene, what we really wanted to make sure is that we hit their biggest buttons. So we used as many explosions as we could. We had bickering and indecision, more explosions, panic, mayhem, and more explosions. I think great-grandpa Sapper would be proud. For the Worgen cutscene, taking a huge different direction, we wanted to really capture the vibe. So we had this caged monster, these dark, bold silhouettes that our storyboard team gave us that we just fell in love with. The dark, dreary landscapes of Gilneas, wonderful backdrop. And then we went to many, many werewolf movie essentials. So, when making an in-game cutscene, We're usually working with limited time, and we have to make sure we take as much of advantage of what already exists in World of Warcraft as we can. One example was the character Lord Godfrey, which if you played the beta, you kind of know what Lord Godfrey's all about, but he was the guy poking the bear in the Worgen cutscene there. And we really wanted this guy to stand out, you know, and have a nice cinematic vibe to him. So when he's walking through these rainy scenes, we wanted him to have a heavier cloak, so we actually went right in and lifted Arthas's cloak right off of his back. He doesn't need it anymore anyway. For that silhouette that those storyboard artists gave us, we wanted those glasses, so Ozzy wasn't using those. And for the face, we took Tyrion's face and kind of worked up from there to make it some headway. Repurposing is all well and good until we find ourselves writing a moment into our story that go, wait, there isn't a Worgen cage in the game yet, is there? Yeah, we have to make one of those. So instead of modeling this cage up from scratch, it was an idea of one of my technical artists, Brandon, to go into the environment in the internal build at the time, and he actually went around this kind of cage pen area and started prying boards off of the surrounding fences, pulling nails out of the fences, pulling the ivory, and he hewed this thing together exactly as you would imagine a WoW character in that environment would have built this cage. And the result was something that definitely married to this environment like nothing else we'd ever seen. On the subject of in-game effects, we just saw a wonderful presentation by Mike and the rest guys here with all these crazy effects in the Cataclysm cinematic. And what we tried to do was, we kind of started off with some photorealistic effects, you know, kind of pushing the limits, but every time we took a look at the effects, we were like, does this really feel like WoW? Does this fit in the game? And so we took a second pass on all the effects, and we went back and we made sure that every fire, every smoke, every particle, water splash, water droplet is somehow an asset that's been pulled from somewhere else in the World of Warcraft. And the end result always makes these things look exactly like they live and breathe and belong in the game. One place we've been able to push the limits since joining with cinematics is in the realm of animation. Animation is really how these characters come to life. And when we start a project, we'll usually do some mock-ups using, you know, the /sit emotes. We'll shoot some live-action reference, and the animators will start taking passes with these characters and iterate and try to capture exactly the lively spirit. And you can see how much of a difference it makes here in the final version of the shot when we started with, you know, /sit. You know, so other places we want to infuse some nice attitude in these characters, and these are our cohorts over in DVD video production who showed us some attitude with these guns made of rolled up paper tubes, and they really brought it for this, and it allows the animators a great springboard to get to that attitude very quickly. But then there's actually some times where the animators and this live action just gets a little out of hand. The animators really brought it, and then we love what they did on that. So, to wrap it up, one question we get a lot in in-game cinematics is, so what do you guys really do to the image besides just videotape the game and ship it? And the truth is, a lot. We'll usually mock things up early in the process, and between then and final frames when they go out, we're spending a lot of time and a lot of effort dialing in, you know, additional atmosphere, additional lighting, and dialing up the effects, and really taking the game we know and love and adding those elements that make it cinematic, that people come and expect from a movie, you know, the bold silhouettes, the vignetting, the lighting, but at no point do we ever want to supersede what WoW has already created, because that's where we want to be and that's where we want to live. So just adding a little bit more lights here, a little shadow here, a reflection of the Worgen's eyes in his glasses, really dials that up. And for instance, the rain, you know, it was a clear day, so we had to add in the rain afterwards. But so I'm going to wrap up with that, and we're going to have a Q&A here in just a few minutes, but I'll pass it back to Jeff. Thank you.